All right, so we're diving into precious metals IRAs today. Looks like you've been doing a lot of research.
You've got quite the stack here. Articles, investor guides, even some personal notes.
Yeah, trying to get a handle on it all. See how gold and some of these other metals could work for retirement.
A lot to consider there.
Like, one article even says silver is a better investment than gold right now.
Hmm, that's a bold claim.
Right. But then there's this idea that gold kind of goes up when the stock market goes down. Like, what happened back in 2008?
Right, but it's important to remember that no investment is completely foolproof.
True, true. But you got to think about how different assets behave, especially for retirement planning.
Absolutely, especially for the long term. You're thinking about decades, not just quick wins.
Exactly. And speaking of long term, I noticed your notes about inflation. Seems like you're worried about how that'll impact your savings.
Yeah, it's a common concern. People focus on saving enough money, but don't always think about what that money will actually buy years down the line.
Yeah, like will a dollar today be worth a dime when you retire? Scary thought.
And that's where gold's historical performance during high inflation becomes relevant.
So you're saying it might help protect your savings from losing value?
Historically, gold has held its value pretty well when inflation eats away at the buying power of a dollar. It's one reason it's attractive for diversifying a portfolio.
Oh, I see. So it's not just about gold going up in price, it's about it holding steady when other things are dropping.
Exactly. Think of it as a potential buffer against those economic ups and downs.
I'm starting to see the appeal. Makes you feel a bit more secure.
That's the idea behind a gold IRA. It's a self-directed retirement account, similar to a traditional IRA, but instead of stocks and bonds, you hold physical gold.
So instead of just seeing numbers on a screen, you could actually own a piece of a gold bar.
That's right. It's a tangible asset that offers a different kind of security.
Okay, so we're talking diversification, protection against inflation, and maybe feeling a bit more in control of your retirement funds.
Exactly. It's about finding what gives you confidence and peace of mind for the long haul.
And these benefits, they don't stop there, right? I mean, there's also the potential for gold to actually go up in value.
There's definitely that potential. Now, it's important to be clear, no investment is guaranteed. But historically speaking, especially during times of economic uncertainty, precious metals have seen significant increases in value.
Like those market trend charts you showed me, right? It seems like when investors get nervous, they flock to precious metals, and that drives up the demand.
You got it. Global events, economic trends, even investor sentiment, they all play a role.
It's a bit more dynamic than just watching the stock market go up and down, that's for sure. But we've been talking a lot about gold. Your research also mentions silver, platinum, palladium. Those are pretty intriguing.
Each one's got its own story, its own set of characteristics and potential benefits.
Like, what about silver? I mean, one article even claimed it could be a better investment than gold right now.
Well, silver shares a lot of similarities with gold. It's a tangible asset, historically holds its value, and is often seen as a hedge against inflation.
So, like, gold's less flashy cousin, maybe a little more approachable.
You could say that. And silver tends to be more affordable than gold, which makes it more accessible for some investors.
Especially for those who are just starting out and don't have a ton of money to invest.
Exactly. It opens up precious metals investing to a wider range of people.
I see. Okay. Now, looking at the silver price chart, though, things been kind of volatile, ups and downs all over the place.
It definitely has its own dynamics. And then there's platinum. Now, that one is far rarer than both gold and silver.
Oh, wow. Really? So what makes it so special?
Well, for one, it's a key component in various industrial applications, particularly the automotive sector.
Ah, so it's not just about looking pretty, it's got actual real-world use.
Exactly. And the price is often tied to global economic growth and demand from those industries.
So if the economy's doing well, platinum prices could go up.
It's a possibility, but of course, many factors are always at play. Now, palladium, that's where things get really interesting. It's actually used in green technology.
Oh, that's what caught my eye. Tell me more about that.
So, like platinum, it's incredibly valuable for industrial use. Right now, it's mainly used in catalytic converters to reduce emissions from vehicles.
Ah, makes sense. So it's important for traditional cars, but also potentially for the future of clean energy.
You got it. But what makes palladium even more interesting is that it's actually rarer than platinum.
Wow, really? No wonder its price has been spiking lately. But is that going to last, or is it a bubble about to burst?
That's the million-dollar question. While palladium's rarity and its use in both traditional and green tech points to a potentially strong future, Predicting the future of any commodity, especially precious metals, is always tricky.
That's fair. I'm starting to get it, though. Each metal has its own story, its own set of risks and rewards.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to choosing precious metals. The best option, or combination of options, really depends on your individual circumstances, your financial goals, and your risk tolerance.
Okay, so let's say you decide to go for it. Like, how do you actually get these precious metals into your IRA?
So now you're thinking about the mechanics of setting it all up, actually managing a precious metals IRA. That's important.
Yeah, it's one thing to understand the idea, but if you're actually going to do this, you need to know the steps, right? What to watch out for.
You're absolutely right. It's not as simple as just buying some gold coins. So first things first, you need a custodian, one that specializes in precious metals.
So not just any regular IRA custodian will do.
Right. This custodian will be responsible for holding and managing those precious metals within your IRA. You can't just keep them at home.
Oh, okay. So you need someone like a third party to handle all of that.
Exactly. Secure storage, all the logistics. And once you've got your custodian, you'll work with a precious metals IRA company to set up the account, do all the paperwork.
Okay, so it's kind of like opening a new bank account, but for precious metals within your IRA.
That's a good way to think about it. Now, remember those notes you had about transferring funds from an existing IRA?
Yeah, I was wondering how that would work.
It's called a rollover. Pretty straightforward process, really. You'll initiate a transfer of funds from your traditional IRA to this new precious metals IRA.
And the IRA company will walk me through that, right?
Maybe will.
Yeah.
But you always want to be aware of potential fees, tax implications, all that.
Right, of course. Anytime you're moving retirement money around, gotta be careful.
Absolutely. Got to make sure everything's done by the book according to those IRS rules. But once your funds are over there, that's when it gets fun. You get to choose which precious metals you want.
Oh, so this is where it gets exciting. Building your own little treasure chest of gold and silver.
Uh-huh. You could say that. But remember, not just any gold or silver will do. They got to meet IRS security standards to be eligible for an IRA.
Oh, right. So no digging up random nuggets in the backyard.
Uh-huh. Nope. Has to be investment-grade bullion, stuff that meets specific criteria from the IRS.
Okay. Makes sense. Gotta make sure it's all legitimate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And beyond purity, got to think about your overall strategy, your risk tolerance, which specific metals you're after.
Right. Because as we talked about, each metal has its own story, its own way of behaving in the market.
Precisely. You want your precious metals choices to line up with your long-term goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
Right. So all those market trends and potential risks we discussed, that all comes into play here.
Absolutely. Now, all of this brings up something else really important, something you even highlighted in your notes. Choosing the right IRA company. You even wrote, do your homework in big, bold letters.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I was reading some scary stuff online about shady companies in the precious metals market, even scams.
It's good to be cautious. Not all companies are created equal, that's for sure. Some might be more interested in making a quick buck than giving you solid advice.
Oh, wow. So how do you protect yourself? What should you look for?
Well, transparency is key. You want a company that's upfront about their fees, make sure everything is clear and easy to understand.
No hidden costs, no surprises later on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look at their customer service. Are they responsive? Do they explain things clearly? You want a company that's actually invested in your success, not just trying to make a quick sale.
It's got to be like finding a good financial advisor, right? Someone you trust, who gets your goals.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
But you also want to go beyond that first impression, dig a little deeper into their background. How long have they been in business? What's their reputation like?
So don't just take their word for it. Do your research. Where do you even find that kind of information?
Online reviews are a good place to start. Sites like the Better Business Bureau. See what other investors are saying.
Okay, so like checking Yelp reviews before you pick a restaurant.
Exactly. You want to know what other people's experiences have been like. And check news articles, industry publications. Look for any red flags, complaints, things like that.
Like a background check on the company before you trust them with your money.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask for references. Talk to their existing clients.
Oh, that's a great idea. It's like getting a personal recommendation.
Exactly. Hearing directly from people who've worked with them, that can give you the best insights.
Okay, so we've got the custodian, finding a good company, that rollover process, picking the right metals. Anything else we need to consider?
Oh, there's one more big one. And you even highlighted it in your research. Storage. Remember circling Delaware Depository?
Oh, right, I remember that. So it's not as easy as just buying some gold and hiding it under your mattress.
Not quite. When you're dealing with physical precious metals, you got to think about how you're going to store them securely.
So what are the options?
Well, one option is home storage. Keeping your precious metals in a safe place at home.
So basically turning your house into a mini Fort Knox.
Uh-huh, in a way, yeah. But home storage comes with its own set of risks. Got to make sure your home is secure, think about insurance, all that.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of responsibility, especially if you've got a lot invested.
It is. Then there's the option of using a safe deposit box at a bank.
That seems a little more secure.
It can be,
Yeah.
but you might not always have access,
Yeah.
like during holidays or after hours.
Right. So if you need your metals quickly, that might be a problem.
Exactly. And then there's the third option, those specialized depositories, like the Delaware Depository you mentioned.
Okay, so what exactly is a depository?
Think of it as Fort Knox, but for the average investor.
Ah, so like a super secure facility specifically designed to hold precious metals.
You got it. Depositories have all the bells and whistles.
Or
Armed guards, surveillance, climate-controlled vaults. Your precious metals are safe and sound there.
that sounds intense.
It is. And they usually offer insurance, too, for added peace of mind.
So it's like having a bodyguard A&D and an insurance policy for your gold.
Uh-huh, exactly. Now, they do charge a fee for all this, but if you have a substantial amount of precious metals, that peace of mind is often worth it.
Okay, so three main options. Home storage, safe deposit box, or a specialized depository. Each one has its pluses and minuses. How do you choose?
Well, it depends on your own situation. How much risk are you comfortable with? How much are you investing? What are your preferences?
So, no right or wrong answer, just what's best for you.
Exactly. Choosing the right storage option is just as important as choosing the right metals themselves. It's all part of a solid, secure retirement strategy.
This is getting pretty complex, I gotta say. It's more than just buying gold, it's a whole process.
It definitely is. That's why it's so important to do your research, ask questions, work with reputable companies who can guide you through it. You don't have to figure it all out on your own.
That's good to hear. It's a lot to take in.
I understand. But with the right help and a little bit of effort, you can navigate this world with confidence. You can build a retirement portfolio that reflects your goals and what's important to you.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Custodians, those IRA companies, rollovers, choosing the right metals, storage options. It's a lot.
It is. But think of it as a toolkit for building your precious metals IRA.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
And remember, it's just a starting point. There's always more to learn. And as you keep researching, you'll become even more confident in your decisions.
Okay, so what's next on this precious metals adventure? What do we tackle now? It's been quite the journey, huh? Learning all about these precious metals IRAs.
Yeah, a real deep dive into a fascinating topic. We've covered a lot of ground, that's for sure.
We started with why someone might even consider this, talked about diversification, protection from inflation.
Right, and then we got into the nitty-gritty. How to actually choose the right metals, find a good IRA company, even how to store it all safely.
It's like we've given our listener a roadmap, a guide to this whole world of precious metals and IRAs.
And a compass, too, to help them navigate it all.
Exactly. But even with a map and compass, you can still run into trouble. Like, what are some of those traps people should watch out for with these precious metals IRAs?
Ah, so now you're thinking about the misconceptions, the potential pitfalls. That's smart.
Yeah, like, are there any myths we need to bust?
Well, one big one is that precious metals are like a foolproof guaranteed investment.
Oh, so it's not like burying a pot of gold and coming back years later to find a fortune.
Uh-huh. Not quite. While they have a history of holding value, especially during uncertain times, no investment is without risk. Prices can fluctuate. You could lose money.
So you got to be realistic, do your homework, not just get caught up in the hype.
Exactly. Another misconception is that this is only for the super rich.
Yeah, I can see how people might think that.
Right. But while some metals like platinum and palladium can be pricey, silver is more affordable. A good entry point for a lot of folks.
It's not just a millionaire's game, then.
Nope, not at all. But here's another trap. Making decisions based on emotion or hype.
Oh, like getting caught up in a gold rush mentality, thinking you'll get rich quick.
Exactly. Got to do your research, understand the market, make decisions based on facts, not feelings.
Level-headed strategic thinking.
That's the key. And one last thing I'll say, don't forget about diversification. Precious metals can be a great part of a portfolio, but they shouldn't be your only investment.
Right, like we talked about before, not putting all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. Spreading the risk, creating a balanced portfolio, that's how you weather those economic storms.
This has been an incredible deep dive. We've really gone through everything, haven't we? From the
Yeah.
potential benefits to the nitty-gritty details, even the traps to avoid.
We sure have.
Yeah,
It's like we've given our listener a crash course in all things precious metals IRAs.
totally. Before we wrap up, any final words of wisdom for our listener?
Just keep learning, keep asking questions, and find those trusted sources of information. This world of precious metals and IRAs might seem overwhelming at first, but with a little effort, it can be a really empowering path to a secure financial future.
Knowledge is power, right? Especially when it comes to investing.
Couldn't agree more. And, it's never too early or too late to start planning for retirement. The sooner you start, the better off you'll be.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought, something to ponder. As you think about adding precious metals to your IRA, ask yourself this. How could this decision impact your sense of security, your peace of mind down the road?
That's a great question. It's not just about building wealth. It's about building a sense of stability, freedom for yourself and your family.
Exactly. And these precious metals, they've got this history of resilience, right? They're tangible. That can give you a feeling of comfort, of stability.
Absolutely. It's not just numbers on a screen. It's a real asset. You can hold it, touch it. It represents something solid.
It's been great exploring this with you, really insightful.
Likewise, hope our listener found it helpful and empowering.
To our listener, keep diving deep, keep those curious minds engaged, and remember knowledge is the one treasure that never loses its value.